first of all, Lina, congratulations on the tenure. That's a huge achievement.
Thank you. It's really fantastic to be back in science again. I've been out since 2016. It's actually was very funny because the same month and day in 2016 as my last PhD students left my group. Let's see how many years after, to 2023, in the same day, same month, I signed a new contract to enter back into academia. So it felt very, it's fantastic to be back and to be able to do both research and also teaching again.
Wow. So like the universe really aligned and the stars aligned. It's, even the same date. So can you take us back a little bit, and what do you think were the keys to getting tenure? Because I think that's something that a lot of PhD students, postdocs kind of dream about, at least those who want to stay in the academia. So what do you think were the keys for you to get tenure?
Yeah, I was a very, very curiosity, and still am a very curiosity-driven person and researcher. I had my PhD in 2005 in psychiatric genetics, and I founded my research team in 2011, looking at molecular and cellular cognition. And I was very much doing the academic way of doing your career, so sort of. And at 2013, my life changed. I got really ill, and that completely changed my perspective of what is important and what I need to do. So I had a parathyroid tumor in my throat, and it kind of took me out of business for a year, and more or less affected for 3 years, I would say. And it gave me lots of time to think. And I went from being this very strong curiosity-driven, like mainly curiosity-driven person, trying, to get my career, trying to do the right thing to be able to stay in science. And then 2013-14, it changed. And I went in to be very mission-driven. And I was on a lucky one. I could get well. I'm completely back. I'm completely healthy. And I realized then that there is actually knowledge within academia and knowledge outside of academia, and we need to combine this. And we need to do it for the people who can't live the way they want to live their life, because that was what happened to me. I couldn't live the way I wanted to live. So I went very much into looking at how can knowledge within neurobiology in academia be value for technology and for people who has injuries or diseases connected to the nervous system. And that took me on a completely new ride. So I went from, being a pure researcher to also acting quite a bit outside of the university, reaching out to everyone to understand how it worked, to see how we could combine our knowledges and make value for people. And that brought me out. I got headhunted into a robotic company because my thing became rehabilitation robots and also AI systems and biosensors. How do they work? Do they work? Do they make a difference? And how do we get them into the society from development? And that brought me into entrepreneurship, business creation, and I started to learn everything I could about that. And this was all outside of academia, and I was still having my research team at that point. But at 2016, the last students and PhD postdocs I was working with left, and I closed down my lab and decided to go full on outside of academia to do everything I could for technology to meet biology and have a difference for people's lives. So I started to consult. I worked as a product specialist and a market analyst alongside. And then how life is, I got headhunted back into academia and ended up on a time-restricted senior lectureship in innovation, product development, and technology. So I did that for 2 years part-time while I still was consulting to companies and to other universities, to EU projects regarding business and product development or business cases. at that time, I was also starting to realize that, what we do and develop works to a really large degree, but what doesn't really work is the introduction of it into the society. And then we had to look at organizations, how our organization is functioning, how our leadership's done. And I started to look into that. You still see that like a lot of curiosity driven, but now on a very, goal-directed passion. And at that time, I came out a position at Uppsala University. I've been working at Uppsala University for all my different positions. And that was about combining all the external actors and internal actors. That was like all the tech activity going on within Uppsala University in education, development, research. How could we find really good collaboration with external actors and also with internal actors? Because quite often within academia, we have our, silos that we are working in. We don't have so much interaction in between, and we really see a change there now, that we need to start to work over different borders to really start to do value. So that brought me into that, and I did that up to 2019. And around that time, I started to say, okay, I did a lot of interviews with researchers like you do now, actually. And then along that way, I interviewed a game design professor, and we started to talk about the circuitries in the brain for playfulness. And that was my new thing. Because I had been looking really hard. How can we work in projects? How can we work together? How can we run organizations so that new ideas, new innovations, things that come from the university can get implemented? That brought me on a new journey, and it came into this game design department. And I had been teaching with them on previous positions, having product development courses. And then I started to really look, how can I become a part of this faculty? And that brought me to where I am today. I applied for this position almost a little bit more than a year ago, and I got the position in August. So yeah, that brought me there.
Amazing.
So
amazing. I still remember when you were talking about applying for this position and writing all the application documents and everything. So what do you think was the key? Was it a combination of your academic background, your PhD and all the research that you did, plus all the non-research things that you've done? What do you think, if you were to give advice, I suppose, to PhD students or to postdocs, how can I get tenure? What would you tell them?
If you're looking for a pure academic career, do everything that you do for an academic career. You write papers. That's what you get the position on. But I didn't get my position for that. And I don't do that. I'm not like, I split my time in between research, teaching, but I also work with outreach still. I am building. So I got this position because they needed a person who can do more than just do the ordinary academic work. They needed someone who could work with reach out and build a community to make game design a very strong entity within Uppsala University. And I am located on an island in the Baltic Sea because Uppsala University has a campus on an island called Gotland. So that's where I'm located. So I got this position because I had numerous skills. And I'm not just a neurobiologist. I'm not just an entrepreneur. I'm not just a project manager. I'm not just a teacher. I'm everything, and I'm enjoying this versatility of my work. And I'm getting good at a lot of stuff. And I love meeting people, networking with people, and learning. So my advice would be follow your heart. Do the things that gives you the biggest joy, and you will get the perfect job for you. The best kind of jobs are not applied for, they are created. And that means that you have to get yourself out there. We are talking often about the hidden work market. And it's true, it's there. It's like 80% of the jobs are in the hidden work market. And you find it by meeting people, by doing value and being good at what you do.
Absolutely. And I suppose, if you're applying for tenure, it's a given that you need some papers, right? But perhaps having some additional skills or experience, like you did from other industries, of course, if that's the sort of type of person that they're looking for, this can be really helpful as well, because it's, it sets you apart from other maybe researchers who are applying, who only have papers, which is of course valuable, but you have all the other experience from outside the academia, and you combine a lot of unique skills. So I want to maybe shift, kind of, well, not radically, but just shift the conversation a little bit to your writing corner that we were talking about, before we started the interview. So can you tell us a little bit more about that, and why did you set it up like that in terms of writing, to help yourself to write?
I can tell you, first of all, why I am as a senior researcher and applied for a course in academic English writing. It's like, why did I do that? Because then all of this stuff comes along. So when I started, I went from medical, technology and biology, where we do very much exact sciences. I have a tradition of that. I am really schooled in that. And then I went into the game design department, that is human and social sciences, also to a large degree. Game design is fantastic because it's everything, but it's also very much. And I was sitting at the meeting with the faculty and I didn't understand anything. I was like, what are they talking about? I didn't get it. I didn't understand their methodology. I didn't understand the words. It was like going into a new universe, and I knew I was going to have students and follow them in their writing, and I didn't know what my faculty was talking about. So I got a little bit, what is going on here? How can I break this code? And then I figured back, it's like, when I went from being neurobiologist into going into business creation, it was a code to break. This has to be possible to break this code and understand it. And it can't be so different. And actually, what is good science? It came down to that. What do I think is good science? So I started to scoop around and I found you. It was a Sunday and I was sitting in my kitchen and I was looking on Facebook and there you were. I don't know if I ever told you. And I was
no, I didn't realize that it's Sunday. It's amazing how you remember that, those specific days and dates,
And I was sitting there and I say like, okay, what is this? This looks just too good to be true. I don't believe it is on Facebook and, but okay, they says that you can get like an interview to see and talk to them. Let's do that and see that. And I met a colleague of yours. And I was still very skeptical about this whole idea because the way you present it is like, structured. And I've been told like, oh, start writing and you will feel how it is. That's the cool school I come from. You learn it as you go along. And to this story comes that I am dyslexic. So, it's really hard to tell me, you will feel it. There's no way I will feel it, It's like telling a blind person you will see it. It's just this tongue. So I was like, this might be exactly what I need. So I met your colleague and I talked to her and I still didn't believe her. So I said, okay, I'm interested, but I want to be here for I want to test it out to see if it actually is something for me. So then I got in and I was taking part in the course. I think it was for 2 weeks or something like that. And just, feeling it, is this something that will be valuable? Mm-hmm. And it is. And the thing I like about it is that it's structured. You have built up a system where, from the part of actually setting yourself up to become a professional writer, to understand the different fields, how they work, how you have to work to understand what you need to do. And you have these 3 pillars, that I'm really still working from. Number 1, have a solid foundation and a plan, I think it is. Number 2 is develop a mindset of success. And number 3 is writing and improving on your work every day. And all of these 3 is really tricky, I must say. It sounds super easy, but it is really tricky to get into your everyday life. So what I started up was like, okay, make sure I'm happy when I write, and I like to have it cozy around me. So I have candles, like not only this one, I have it over there also. And actually you emphasize for us to send in picture and share our environment with each other. Another thing is to change my schedule. So I started to adapt my life to become a professional writer. I started to go to bed early. So I got up because I figured out like the only time on the day when I really doesn't have any other stuff to do is in the morning, and really early morning. So that means I need to get up at 5. Then I get 2 to 3 hours of work. It's not always writing, but it's like scientific work. Because the rest of the day is just packed with other people who is stuff you need to do. And, and that is another thing that I learned. Take control over your time. You own your time. Stop other people from owning your time, basically. And it's a decision you make. And you have to also live, according to it. I must say, I got really good at it, Marek. I got so good at it that my life lost color. So I needed to stop doing it. I needed to stop put more, more surprises into my life. So I'm still, trying to find a good way of doing it. But I have this rhythm in my life now that I really like. I do the writing. Another thing, never open the email in the mornings. I close it and I clean everything out. So it's not there tempting me, as well as apps on the phones and, all of these things. Keep it clean so you're not getting disturbed mentally. No sounds and anything like that. It really also helped. But then when it actually came down to it, it was also this about you have all of these worksheets, you all have all of these blueprints. I learned a system of understanding the articles I want to create. And then it's funny. I don't know. I don't know if you remember that we have a weekly meeting twice a week. It's also when I can, because a lot of time I'm teaching or doing other stuff myself. But when I can come in, it's really valuable. And around summer, something like that, I was just feeling so completely miserable. Such a failure. I hadn't write the paper. My aim was to write the paper and hadn't done it. And then I started to look back what I've done. And, I have a tenure position now. I have several research projects, like where I'm on the line. I am reconnecting since I come from this, wide background. I have fantastic people I have met throughout the years, and I'm reconnecting with them now. And we are starting to do things together. And this is, so cool because I'm really combining all kinds of different fields with game design principles. So, tech, health, ethics, game design, all of this comes together in a way it could never have come together before. And that is the third thing that I'm doing really right now to be able to write papers, get the foundation. But I'm also finding the right people to do it together with, because I don't like doing it on my own. Mm-hmm. So this is where I am today. And, for me, it feels like that has been the joy. When I said I got really good at it, putting fantastic people and with amazing personalities and knowledge into my work, take the dullness away of it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I doesn't get like a robot. I get really, living it. So that is also what I'm doing. And then, finding time to write every day, really hard. But that, I need to make sure that happens, because I believe that is actually what is needed to make this happen. Mm-hmm. I don't believe in writing, having I'm going to go away write for 3 days now, or 3 weeks, or no, half an hour every day is better than that.
Yeah. I guess it's like with, if you compare it to, I don't know, doing exercise. I mean, if you want to improve your fitness, you can't just not do anything for 10 months and then go away and train for like 3 weeks. You have to really do the training every day, or I don't know, if not every day, 3 times a week, maybe, if you can't go to the gym every day. And you said a lot of interesting things when you were talking about your journey. I think what really resonated with me is that you talked about being a professional writer. And I think a lot of people in the academia don't realize that, an important part of the job is being a professional writer, really. Of course, you have to do research, you have to go into the lab, collect data, connect with other researchers, maybe teach. But really, at the end of the day, for a lot of researchers, you're evaluated on the papers that you write. So you are really a professional writer to a great extent. So setting up your life in a way that allows you to be a professional writer and thinking about yourself like this, that was something that really resonated with me.
And when it comes to the writing, it's never been in my interest, which is not hard to understand since I learned since I was super small that I can't do it. If anything the school taught me as a dyslexic student or pupil was that, you can't do it. So I never wrote it, but I was really good with my hands. I really enjoyed the science. I was good at doing the science. So now I actually, I come back, and for me, writing papers is not about, accelerating my career. It's about a way to organize and share what I learn and my reflections on what I have experienced, so other people also can build on it. So I finally found, after many, many years, I found a purpose of the writing. And I combined it with, pods, I combined it with interviews, I combined it with workshops, I combined it, with other things. But writing really is a fantastic way for me and others to share our knowledge and build on each other's knowledge. So now, I really want to break this code because, of course, again, it's, I have this purpose of doing it. It's not just, getting another paper for getting another position and then getting another grant. It's actually about the essence of knowledge and the essence of sharing our knowledge and making it possible for companies, because the thing is, what happens in companies and in public organizations, there is no time to do this thinking and doing these investigations. So being in academia and coming back to academia, the main point of doing it is actually to be able to do what others can't do, so they can use it, and that we can do things together on it. So I sincerely think that we need to find other ways of working together and other ways of evaluating academic work. ChatGPT is coming in. We know what's going to happen with papers. We don't know what's going to happen with this. But one thing is sure, it's going to change. The question is how. But we will have ways of communicating. And today, writing is a good way of doing it.
Now, if you found this helpful, but you want our personalized expert help to help you publish research papers in top Scopus-Indexed journals, then book a free one-to-one consultation, and our expert advisors will be able to identify the main challenges that you've got right now and also propose a plan that will take you from where you are right now to being able to publish 3 or more papers every single year in Scopus-Indexed journals. And the link to that free one-to-one consultation is right below this video.